Ladies and gentlemen, we are back on a Sunday with another rebuild challenge, and today we are heading to Italy to rebuild Fiorentina. Now, if we jump into the game, Fiorentina actually look really good already. Founded in 1926, they have good training facilities, they have good youth facilities. They are predicted in the media to finish in 8th. We will be trying to do just that a little bit better. If we dive into their actual history on here, you can see that they are two-time winners of the Serie A, most recently in 1969. So whilst they have been a mainstay in Serie A for a long time now, they haven't really won it. Now, this is our goal here, to try and take back the Serie A to the city of Florence so that we can try and take the title away from Milan and stuff like that, Turin, and as I said, put it back into Florence. They also are one-time winners of the European Cup Winners' Cup. They have won the Coppa Italia on 6 separate occasions, most recently in 2001. They've won 3 Serie B titles as well, but we won't be dipping that far down. As you can see, though, they have a nice firm history in Serie A. And in last season, they did finish in 7th, and we will be trying to better that this season. We'll talk about the tactic first and foremost. This is 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪's Bane tactic, which we will be using. It's a little bit different, and I don't necessarily have the right players for these roles right now, but we will try and move things forward. There are some really good players in here that I do like in this team. This is 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. I do love him. I think he's a fantastic centre-back, obviously Serbian monster that we used last year in our rebuilding Red Star save, obviously, admittedly, for Serbia. And then we've got Biraghi here, is a fullback that I love. 17 crossing on him, 16 free kick taken. Again, a really good player for the team. Up top, we've got Jovic and Kwame as well. So we've got some really good players. We've got Bonaventura, we've got Castrovilli. We've got some really nice players in the squad. And this is the tactic to get the job done, I'm hoping, over the course of this 5-year period. If we go and take a look at the competitions, this is how things look in season number 1. We have the Serie A, because we finished in 7th last season. We have the Europa Conference League as well, where we will obviously be, of course, representing Italy. And we do have the Coppa Italia. Now, the long-term goal of this save is to take the Serie A back and win the Serie A for the first time since the 60s. So that is the main goal. I would love to add a Coppa Italia as well. And obviously, anything we can do in Europe, in my opinion, is a bonus. In terms of the league and stuff like that, if we go into the season preview, we are predicted to finish in 8th. Which isn't necessarily the best. You can see lots of Inter Milan players in here, a couple of AC Milan players, Juve player there, and one Napoli, one Napoli, one Lazio player in there. So there's a lot. I will say this about Italy: there's a lot of clubs that could win the title. Inter are definitely the favourites. So we're going to see what we can do. We're going to simulate this first season and see how we get on with Fiorentina. So guys, before we dive into the results for season 1, if you do like the rebuild content, I implore you to show me and let me know down below by liking today's video. Liking the video goes so far in terms of the algorithm and helping this video get discovered by new people. So please do drop a like on the video down below. And if you are here for the first time, picking up the content for the very first time, my name's Steve. Do consider hitting that subscribe button whilst you're down there, because, you know, that's free and that really does help me out as well. So that's my little plug done. We're over with the plug. Let's dive back into the first season in Serie A. As you can see on your screens, we did finish inside the top 4. The league was very hotly contested. Lazio did go all the way and win that one. Obviously, I am doing a network game with Lazio and Roma with Murph FM. You can check that out on Twitch, on my Twitch, twitch.com/HoodGamingUK on a Wednesday. But Lazio winning the league is something that I don't think I'll be doing in that save. Then the 2 clubs from Milan, AC Milan finished in 2nd. Then Inter on 76, ourselves on 76, and Juventus on 75. Is a very tough, tight group of teams, and I'm hoping now we've secured Champions League football, that's something we never let go. In terms of the Coppa Italia, we got to the semi-finals where we did lose to Napoli, who then went on to lose to Roma in the final. So the semi-finals, we lost 2-0 to Napoli over the course of the 2 legs, 0-0 in the first leg, and then we lost 2-0 in Naples. Europa Conference League, from memory, this didn't go very well. Our Europa Conference League group, can I show the groups? Let's show the groups. All the groups. We were in a Group E alongside West Ham, Sligo Rovers and Venus here, Vilnius. I'm sorry, the team from Lithuania that I'm absolutely butchering here, but we did qualify. We did go through into second. Into the knockout round, we beat 𝘼𝙗 5-1, relatively comfortable. We go into the round of 16. We beat Villarreal, so again, moving comfortably forward, 7-3 on aggregate there, a nice 4-0 home victory. Then we get into the quarterfinals. We beat Union Berlin, so we're tracking quite nicely here into the semi-finals, where we lose to Nice. Nice, who do beat us 5-4 on aggregate there. If we go and take a look, obviously they won the first leg. We absolutely battered them at home, but not good enough to get the job done. So we get knocked out in the semi-finals of the Europa Conference League. I really feel this is a missed opportunity, if I'm being perfectly honest. We should have probably won that title, and it would have been nice to add that one to the trophy cabinet. But top 4 inside the Serie A means we do get Champions League money for season number 2. And speaking of season number 2, we've got £12 million to spend. It's not an abundance, but it's a decent figure. And if we go and have a look at the debts and loans, we've got 30 million worth of debt as well. So we will be trying to clear that whilst we're running through this. And I think we'll just do that by qualifying for the Champions League consecutively. 10 million in the bank, 12 million in the transfer budget. Let's go spend some cash for season number 2. So transfer update going into season number 2. We have had a couple of outgoings. There's not any real huge ones that I want to talk to you about. The main one is probably 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙕. He has gone to Bournemouth for £3.9 million. And I have done some work in replacing some players. Obviously, I've signed some players on installments, so let's go through those now. Antonin Barak is a player who is on loan at Fiorentina in the current season. He is on loan from Verona. We had the opportunity to get him on a free transfer because his contract was over, so we did sign him. 28 years old, 6'3", supremely well-rounded. I know 𝘼𝙗𝙤 loves this guy in draft mode, and I think as a CM on attack with some of these, gets into the opposition area, gets forward whenever possible, plays 1-2s. I think he's a prime player to play in that particular position. We sold a striker and I brought in a striker. I wanted to see what Lorenzo Luca had to do in this year's game. He was very highly touted last year, hasn't necessarily been performing at Ajax or playing for Ajax in actual fact. In real life, obviously he's on loan from Pisa, so we went out and bought him to put him in this team, and I'm going to start him, and I want to see what he does. £5.5 million to Pisa for his services, and I'm hoping he can be really good. I wanted to upgrade it in terms of goalkeeper, and I know this is a go-to goalkeeper for most people. Dominik Livakovic here, obviously the Croatian hero in the World Cup, really good at saving penalties, got 19 one-on-ones. You can see why. He is a very good goalkeeper, and a massive upgrade for us in that position. This guy, now I have to touch on this. Fabio Moretti is one of the highly thought of young Italian players. He's a Juve player, and this is one of the things I was speaking to Andrew the Gibbs show about this, and the fact that I've been able to sign him as a direct rival, I don't think that should happen, but I have done anyway. He's one of the best midfielders in the game this year, 20 years of age. We paid £13 million to Juve for him. He wanted to leave Juve. I just think it's a weird one that he has come to our club, but I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm happy that he's here. And we also signed Divock Origi from AC Milan. They'd got him obviously from Liverpool the season prior. Played okay at AC Milan. We paid £5.25 million for him. He wanted to play more football, and I think he's a very nice player up front. To be perfectly honest, I really think we've improved the squad in a lot of key areas. If we go into the tactics, this is what I am going to do this time around. I'm going to pin Lorenzo Luca as that left-hand striker, and I'm also going to pin Biraghi as the defensive winger on the left-hand side. I'm just trying some stuff here because I think this is a position for fullbacks. I think this is the best way to get some output out of these guys. Actually have attacking fullbacks, and Biraghi with his 17 crossing seems like the right player. I feel like he seems like the right player for me. So we're going to try that, and we're going to see what happens for season number 2. In terms of competitions for season number 2, we have massively upgraded. No longer do we have the Europa Conference League. We are back in the Champions League, where we do enter in the group stages. Coppa Italia, as well as always the domestic cup. And talking about the Serie A, if we go on the season preview, they have us again finishing in 8th, but 25-1 this time. So we've definitely closed some of the odds, but we are definitely nowhere near anywhere in the favourites running for the title, despite qualifying for the Champions League the season before or for this season. So lots to do in season number 2. Let's simulate and see how we get on. So season number 2 is in the books and ultimately was a very, very positive season. Let's first and foremost talk about our league position. We did finish in 3rd. We were very much in the running for the league title, and then things just fell away towards the end of the season. As you can see, 4 defeats in our last 5 games. If I show you the schedule, it's just littered. Yes, okay, they're tough teams that we have come up against, but Atalanta away we lost. We beat Genoa at home. We lost to Roma. We lost to Juve. We lost to Inter. It's just not good enough towards the end of the season. If we didn't drop games against Torino, maybe we could have maybe been in a slightly better position, but it wasn't to be. We do qualify for the Champions League again, though, and a bit of a bigger gap between ourselves and the team in 5th this time around, so definitely making some good strides there. In the Champions League, we were in a group with PSG and Manchester United and RB Salzburg, so actually one of the tougher groups that you are actually going to come up against. So we did drop down. We ended up in the Europa League, where we eventually knocked out in the quarter-final stage by Napoli. They are in the final against Villarreal. Napoli very good this year on FM and do find themselves down in 6th actually in the Serie A. However, the crowning achievement of the season is winning the Coppa Italia. We have got our hands on another Coppa Italia trophy. What a very nice trophy it is. We win the game 1-0 thanks to a goal for 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. The team not necessarily pulling its weight, doing okay in terms of the XG and stuff, just slightly edging the possession. But we get the job done against Atalanta. Atalanta are a very difficult team to score against, so I am very happy with getting our hands on a Coppa Italia. All in all, though, happy with the season, glad to be back in the Champions League. Okay, we didn't get through, but our coefficient wouldn't have been great. PSG and Manchester United as the 2 teams that we're drawn against. You can kind of understand why we didn't get through. Moving forward though into season number 3, we do have £26.5 million to spend, so the budget is definitely starting to ramp up, which is fantastic. If we go onto this screen and we go and take a look at the I'll move this one actually. If we take a look at the player stats so you guys can see it a little bit easier, Lorenzo Luca pinned in as the striker did work. He was the top goal scorer. He was the highest average rating. He did really, really well for us, Lorenzo Luca. 29 goals and 13 assists in all competitions. Man is very, very good. So I'm hoping he can go on and, you know, kind of improve a little bit. It's nice to have an Italian at the club who is doing really, really well. Yeah, it's nice to see Lorenzo Luca being our top goal scorer. Shows that he does still work in FM23 as well. So we did have a lot of money to spend. Let's go and start spending for season number 3. Transfer update for season number 3, and I have been super active in the transfer market. We have been out and we have been spending. I've not been selling players, we have been spending. So we've got several players here, 5 players who are leaving on relatively small figures, 250k for those players out, and I spent 41 million. Yes, it's a lot of money, it is. But I think this team needed it. So we've signed 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 on a free transfer from Bayern Munich. Again, one of the game's better younger players, can play in a number of positions for us, can play on the right, can play on the left as these wingers, can play in the central midfield as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 can do. It's my first time actually signing him. Anton Stach is another player that we have signed. He obviously starts the game at Mainz. He has gone to Barcelona in this save, and Barca basically just didn't play him. He's been at Barcelona a couple years, unhappy with his amount of game time, mostly substitute appearances. Yeah, 23 sub appearances for Barcelona there until I bought him. And as I'm hoping he can have a very good season for us, Barcelona losing about 9-ish million on Anton Stach, who is a very, very good player. We've signed Zeno van Housden. If you do draft mode, pick up this guy. He's dirt cheap and very, very good. 25 years of age. He is Belgian. He is 6'2", a nice, well-rounded centre back for us here. £4.5 million for him, obviously from Inter Milan. He's had several loans in his career. Mainz was one of them, and in the Bundesliga too. And yeah, 20 appearances for them last season, and a good league campaign in the Bundesliga too. Time to come back into Serie A and step things up. We also signed Thomas Estafiez on a free transfer. Obviously, he is a Porto player, young Portuguese player. He is just a backup for this right back position, can also play as the defensive winger here if completely required on a free transfer. We also signed Santi Mina on a free transfer. This guy was absolutely electric in my Valencia rebuild. If you've not seen the Valencia rebuild, please do go and check it out. It was very good. I enjoyed it. I like Valencia, very nice club, but he is here and has done really, really well in previous saves that I've done. He comes in on a free transfer, which is absolutely ludicrous. I don't understand why Valencia didn't play him, but there we go. And then the big bulk of the money is on big Raphael. I'm not even going to try and say his last name because I will probably butcher it and cause much offense. Supremely well-rounded defensive midfielder. The things I like about this guy are his off the ball, his positioning, his teamwork and stuff like that. The vision and the work rate are all really, really good. He's got 17 strength as well, so I think he's going to be a big presence in this defensive midfield spot. He's good on both feet. He's 6 foot tall. He's young. He's only 23 years of age. I think this guy is going to be a mainstay in this team moving forward. He comes from Club Bruges. In the game, we paid £27.5 million for him. Some of that is over installments and stuff like that. So that is how things are looking in terms of our players in. 41 million in terms of the players in. So we've spent some good cash. If we go into our team and we quick pick our best 11, we still have some of the favorites here. Gonzalez, Castrovilla, OGs of the club. Milenkovic is still here. Dodo's still here. Baraghi's still here. So we've got some really good players, including players on the bench as well. Jonathan 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is here. Lorenzo Luca, obviously. Antonin Barak is here. Cabral, who scored the winner in the cup final. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪, 𝘼𝙗𝙪, they're all really good players at the club. And I think this club is very much at a better level now going into season number 3. In terms of the competitions, again, we kind of have the exact same setup, other than the fact that we do have the Coca-Cola Super Cup, ourselves as cup winners versus Inter Milan as league winners. So that's going to be interesting. Serie A, the odds this year, if we go and have a look at the season preview, we're 20-1 to win the title. I don't think it's going to happen. At 20-1. I think Inter are still the vast favourites, despite lots of AC Milan players creeping into this Media Dream 11 right now. But our odds are slowly going down each season on season. It was 50-1 the first season, 25-1 season 2, 20-1 for season number 3. And Milenkovic is now in that Media Dream 11. Finally, we have some representation here. But let's simulate season number 3 and see if we can get any closer to this title. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have only gone and won the bloody Serie A in season number 3. I cannot believe what has happened. We have got 90 points and are the champions of Serie A. It looks like we've been in first position in the table for a long period of time, and we've just locked it up, and this is our title to be had. In some of the other competitions, though, not necessarily our best season. Coca-Cola Super Cup, we are winners of that. We beat Inter 3-1. In this one, Gonzalez scoring our own goal, and 𝘼𝙗𝙗𝙪 scoring the goals to get us underway. Lautaro Martinez scoring and missing a penalty. Nicola Barella sent off. Very interesting to see what happened here with Inter Milan. But maybe that was a warning sign for the rest of Serie A, because we finished top, Inter Milan finished in second as well. In terms of defending the Coppa Italia, not gone very well. Champions last season, knocked out in the 3rd round by Bologna in this season. So again, yeah, not very good. And in terms of our Champions League performance, I cannot remember where we got to. We got to the round of 16, as you can see here. We beat Bayern Munich at home at 2-1. Lorenzo Luca with the goal in the 94th minute there. But we lose 3-1 in the stadium over in Munich. Not necessarily doing ourselves justice there, and we go out on aggregate at the round of 16 stage, which I think ultimately against Bayern Munich, Bayern are probably a bigger team than us. They definitely got a bigger budget than we do, so ultimately I'm not too upset about it. Divock Origi, a man who has stepped up this season, that is for damn sure. He's 30 years of age now. He's got 26 goals in all competitions. Most of them are actually his substitute appearances, and 3 assists. He's done very well for us. He was the top goal scorer for us in Serie A. He was the top goal scorer for us in the Champions League as well. So he's done very well for us. If we go on the home screen and we swap this league table for the player stats, you can see here Lorenzo Luca still with the highest average rating though. 21 goals and 8 assists for big Lorenzo. He is going to start warranting some attention from other clubs around Europe. I can almost feel it. Cristiano Baraghi, again, with the most number of assists. He is also wanted as well. So lots going into things as season number 4. I'm hoping we've got another 26 million to spend. I'm hoping the clout of being Serie A champions allows us to attract a little bit of a better caliber of player. Let's see what we can do in this transfer window. Okay, I have to confess, this is the most ludicrous transfer window I have ever participated in Football Manager. I have sold players for £44.5 million, and by players, I mean one player. Milenkovic is gone to Newcastle. And I've spent an absolute boatload of cash to try and make this team just that little bit better. Let's talk about Milenkovic first and foremost. He is over at Newcastle now. £44.5 million they paid for the big Serb, the former partisan man. Yeah, Newcastle definitely starting a revolution over there. If we go and have a look at the Newcastle squad and stuff, I want to just see who they've got. They've signed Trincao, they've signed Ricky, they've got Florentino Luis as well, Inacio, Gavardio, Lamptey, 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. They've got an unreal team. Nick Pope, Milenkovic is on the bench, Cucurella, Gabriel Barbosa. Bloody hell, this team. Anthony Martial, I just saw there. Blimmin' hell, this team's good. Well done, Newcastle. GG's. So Newcastle have got a good team. They've signed him. It looks like he's going to be a bench player for them, which is absolutely crazy. We went out and spent some cash, though. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is how I'm going to say this dude's name. The young German player, obviously 24 years of age in game now, 6'4", 16 jumping reach, big centre back, good cover, another depth option for us. He is not the man replacing Milenkovic, though. I basically used all of that Milenkovic money to sign this guy for the very first time in FM this year, Antonio Silva, the Benfica youth project, or youth prospect, should I say. This is my first time signing him this year in FM. He's 21 years of age in game in 2025. He's 6'2", 6 caps for Portugal, no goals. Obviously, he is a centre back, but he looks outstanding with those mental attributes. As I said, we paid £45 million for him in his last 2 seasons in the Portuguese league. He's absolutely lit it up, averaged over a 7 for a centre back, which is absolutely fantastic. So he is in. And I've also signed this guy, Brandon Soppi. He is so fast. It is unreal. 23 years of age, French youth international, comes from Atalanta. We paid a lot of money for him, £37.5 million for his services. He had a very good season at Atalanta last year, playing as a wing back. I really think he can make the step up to being that defensive winger for me. So if we go into the tactic, this is basically what I'm going to do. I'm going to let the assistant deal with the rest of it, but Soppi is going to start on this right-hand side here, and I think he's going to absolutely tear it up. We're so deep in terms of some of the players that we do have. I'm really happy with the squad depth that we have, and I'm hoping this is a year where we can maybe go back-to-back in the Serie A. Obviously, we do have the Super Cup as well. This time we are representing as league winners. AC Milan did win the Coppa Italia. We do have the Coppa Italia. We have the Champions League group stages, obviously, and then the Serie A. The board expectation is to qualify for the Europa League, and the media season preview says we should be finishing in 5th as well. Again, closing that gap. Soppi is in that media dream 11 as the right back. That's not where he's playing, but that is how things are looking. We're definitely closing the gap. Even as champions, they're still not fancying us to win the title according to the media dream 11 and the season preview. Hopefully we can prove them wrong and go back to back. Back-to-back wasn't to be, and this is potentially, after winning the Serie A last season, our most disappointing season in season number 4. We finish in 2nd, so okay, we did pretty well in terms of the league, but we are 6 points off eventual winners AC Milan. We get knocked out in the round of 16 of the Champions League as well to Inter Milan, which is again rather disappointing. Inter nowhere to be seen in terms of the league. They are down in 8th, which is rather disappointing for them and frustrating for us that we got knocked out by them. Again, bounced in the 3rd round of the Coppa Italia. We really need a Coppa Italia performance last season. If we look at the Coppa Italia, you can see we won it 2 seasons ago. Milan, Inter, I want to bring that title back to Fiorentina if humanly possible. And we lost the Super Cup on penalties to AC Milan, so maybe this was a sign of how the season was going to go. Lorenzo Luca, top goal scorer for us for the most part, 32 goals and 8 assists. He is still an absolute monster. He's got that 20 jump and reach now, high composure, good finishing, good heading. He's capped for Italy now, 2 caps for Italy, 0 goals for the Italian national side, but he's still only 25, so I'm hoping he can kind of grow into things a little bit. He's currently with the Italy squad as well. Seems like a very good return on investment on £5.5 million, isn't it? That he's scored an absolute hatful for us here. Lots of improvement to do in this 5th and final season, I think. There's definitely some players that I've got my eye on. If we look at the finances, we've got 31.5 million. This is our biggest bank balance that we've had in this rebuild thus far. Obviously, you can see the increase in the bank balance and stuff like that. 31 million here is a lot of money. Let's go to spending for season number 5. Guys, before we go into season number 5, this is where I ask, if you are still watching today's rebuild, please comment down below Viola. That is the color purple in Italian, I believe. So hopefully you guys who are still watching, obviously you kind of understand there's a purple theme going on right now, and it's not the fact that I have returned to Twitch. It is for Fiorentina. So let's go into the game. Let's take a look at the transfers for season number 5. Again, I've been quite active in the transfer market, and that is mainly because I've had to sell several players, one of which I'm really not happy about. Let's talk about that one first and foremost. Brandon Soppi, after 1 season, is now a Manchester United player. Now, I said about him being good for us last season, I thought he was going to do well. He did do well. 34 appearances in Serie A, 4 goals, 6 assists, average of 7.04. I paid 37.5 million for him last season. Manchester United paid his £58 million release clause, and he will be playing for United moving forward. It's my own fault for having a minimum fee release clause. I understand that. I didn't think it would be activated so quickly. I thought I'd at least get another season out of him, but he has gone over to Manchester United. Santi Mina is another one who has departed, wasn't getting as much football as he wanted, so he has gone over to Porto for £18 million. Again, nice little turnaround. Player signed on a free, sold for 18 million 2 seasons later. That sounds like good business to me. Now let's talk about the players that I've spent loads of money on, because there's a few of them and I don't know if I'm happy with all of them, to be perfectly honest. Let's talk about the freebie first of all. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. I definitely butchered that name, but he comes in on a free transfer. He is coming from Antwerp, former Ajax youth prospect. Looks like a nice little player for them. 1 cap for the Dutch national team, and I don't understand why he's not got more. 16 first touch, 15 passing, 18 off the ball, 16 vision. This guy for me is the perfect CM on attack. Arrives late into the opponent's box, likes the ball, plays into feet, moves into channels. He's perfect for what I need him to be. 6'2" as well, so he's a big presence in the central midfield. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Again, signed on a free transfer, so that is really good. I want to talk about this guy. 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪 is how I'm going to say this dude's name. Young French new gen. Now, he has come out of Troyes in France, obviously, and already attribute-wise looks fantastic. 18 technique, 16 head-ins, 17 first touch, 16 flair, 17 balance as well on this guy. I think he's ready to do some damage. I've signed him like imminently as a squad player. I don't want him to go out on loan for this first season, but I really do think with the right nurturing and maybe some working on his finishing, this guy's going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with, because he's good on both feet. He's already training very well. Again, found by my Wonder Kid filter. If you've not seen that video, please do go and check out the Wonder Kid filter. It works so well. That's how you find players like 𝘼𝙗𝙤𝙪. We also signed this guy, Fabiano Paresi. He is young-ish now. He's 25 years of age. He's got 1 cap for Italy, former Napoli player in this game, but he actually starts to save at Empoli. Again, young Italian, you pay a lot for it within your own division. Napoli bought him last season for 9.25 million, and I've paid 57 million for him. A lot of it is in installments, guys, I will be perfectly honest, but he had a great season for them last year, so I'm hoping he can step up a lot there. Salvatore Esposito, not the striker, this is his brother, the central midfielder or the DM. Again, a very well-rounded player, comes into the team for relatively cheap actually, 9.75 million for him from Verona. Obviously starts life at Spal, so it does another body into that midfield. We signed this guy as well, Dominik Kotorski. I needed a backup goalkeeper. He looks okay. If I have to play him in net for a few games because 𝘼𝙗𝙗 is injured, so be it. They're both Croatian. I'm sure it'll be fine. He signed as a backup, will probably hardly ever play for us. And then I spent some money on 𝘼𝙗𝙗 because obviously Soppy left. I signed 𝘼𝙗𝙗 as his replacement to play as this defensive winger on this side. Has a lot of the attributes that I'd be looking for. Good off the ball. Good teamwork, good work rate. I think this guy could be a real asset to the team, which if we look here and quick pick without restriction, our best 11, this is how we're looking. Oh, it actually puts Dodo as the defensive winger and 𝘼𝙗𝙗 there, which is very interesting. Antonio Silva's done really well for us. Parisi comes in here. Esposito comes in as the DM. 𝘼𝙗𝙗 comes in as that CM on attack, and Moretti goes out onto the left-hand side. I will say with Moretti, I do have a promise to him because Man City are sniffing around him for 52 million quid. And if I say, if a bid comes in for 52 million, I have said that I will sell him. Hasn't happened just yet, but it might do in the middle of the season. Then Luca and Gonzalez up top. I actually want either Origi or the youngster who is actually in our development center. So let's promote 𝘼𝙗𝙗 to that senior squad, see how many games he does get. In terms of the competitions, though, much the same. Champions League, Coppa Italia, Serie A. Are they fancying us for the Serie A? This time the board want us to qualify for the Champions League, so top 4 is a must. Season preview has us predicted 5th, 10-1 to win the title. Antonio Silva has made it into the Media Dream 11 as well. So let's get to seeing what we can do in this 5th and final season. Guys, I said season 3 was unbelievable. This is even better. I cannot understand, I cannot fathom how this has happened. Bane, the tactic, definitely worth checking out. We've won a treble. I don't get it. We've won Serie A, we've won the Coppa Italia, we've won the bloody Champions League. I don't understand how this has happened. The points return to win the league, 85 points. We were pushed kind of all the way by Juve as well. I don't understand what's happened. I don't understand. We've won the Serie A, great. We've won the bloody Champions League. We beat Liverpool in the final. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we won the Coppa Italia. So let's talk about the Coppa Italia. We beat Roma in that final, 4-1. Big Raphael scoring a goal, Jonathan Icone, Lorenzo Luca and Anton Stach rubbing salt into the wound there with the 95th minute goal to make it 4-1. But we beat Roma to win the Coppa Italia, which is absolutely fantastic. The Serie A, again, brilliant. Lorenzo Luca scoring 17, Divock Origi scoring 17 as well. But it's the performance in the Champions League that I'm going to talk about, because I think that's the one that everyone's going to go, how the bloody hell have you won the Champions League with Fiorentina, Steve, you cheat. I've not cheated. We've been on holiday this entire season. We talk about the Champions League phase. Obviously, it does change in season number 3. We had Real Sociedad, Liverpool, Arsenal, Galatasaray, PAOK. We also had Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Leipzig in our league phase. So lots of the German boys in here. We drew with Dortmund, beat Bayern, beat Leipzig. So we're already in good company in the league phase. We then go into the knockout stages. We take on RB Salzburg, beat them twice. We then take on Dortmund, draw 0-0, but beat them 4-1 away from home. Lorenzo Luca doing the business for the most part with the brace in that game. We then take on Bayern Munich. We beat them 3-2 at home, and we also beat them 3-2 on the road as well, easily going through then 6-4 on aggregate. Then we take on bloody Newcastle of all teams in the Champions League semi-finals in 2027. We lose 3-1 at St James's Park, bring them back to Florence. Danilo gets sent off after 14 minutes and we run riot and we beat them 4-0. And we go into this Champions League final, which I'm going to expand here, and we win 3-2. Luis Diaz and Harvey Elliott with the goals for Liverpool. Big Raphael with another goal, and Nicolas Gonzalez, a player who I've not actually touched on, is a Fiorentina player in real life right now. Very, very good, can play a number of positions and has been absolutely fantastic for me for the most part in every season that we've played in this rebuild. Averaged over a 7, so maybe go and have a look at Nicolas Gonzalez, because he is very, very impressive as we pick up a Champions League with Fiorentina. That is the rebuild of Fiorentina in a nutshell. If you wanted to pick this save up, you can do. I link all of these saves in my Discord server. You've just won the Champions League, you've just won the treble. You could have £47 million to add to this team if you wanted to, and you can do so via the links down in the description. Come and join the Discord community and pick up this save. If you do like the rebuild content, guys, please do check out this playlist, which will be popping up right now, which has got all the rebuilds that I've done in FM23 so far.